Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So, I actually want to show you how I was able to take Nzdjpy as a swing trade for a couple of days. Okay, almost like I think almost some few weeks. Okay, so you can see this high was created, right? Was um at 12 April, which actually didn't. I waited for price to come here, but after price came, I didn't take advantage of it. Okay, because after this demand was able to hold, price pushed to the upside, tapping into this V-shaped flip that actually created this huge order block. Then it tapped into the lower time frame order blocks. Actually, I didn't pay for trading view premium, so I'm just using the daily replay advantage of the um, trading view. Okay, so in this way, you see that well, after price swept liquidity, price went back up, sweeping liquidity, like sweeping this whole thing, and it came down, right? And price came down, breaking the structure, breaking and then sweeping all these liquidities, and then finally getting to this particular order block. So this order block was being mitigated, and what we would like to see, what I wanted to now see, was price getting back into this order block. Okay. But when you look at how price left the place, it was so much slow that there's no much imbalance on it. So price moved impulsively with this particular demand zone, then breaking structure from here, right? So in this case, we take this as a what as a valid demand zone because it is that demand zone that actually did what broke structure. You can see we had this load and this and this and that. So when you look at the line charts, we do have this kind of you see that this demand was proper demand that actually broke the structure slightly. You can see which hold held, and then so what we will look for was now price to what break structure, and then we see what we will get after price comes back to this area. So let's see how price played out. Okay, so you can see after price played out this manner, price actually went back, then mitigating upon this order block, right? Mitigated upon this order block. But actually, what we are looking for is price to reach this particular order block. Okay, because when you go to the lower time frame, this is the break of structure, and they want the neckline to be filled, right? So I think we should wait for price to get there. Okay, so you can see price didn't quite get there. Price reversed, and now you can see price just gives a little bit of demand. So if you are on the lower time, you can wait for something like this, then you take it to these particular areas. Your entry. Okay, so after price tapped this, so let's see if this demand holds, it pushes back, or it breaks to the lower time frame. So price returned back to the upside, then eventually, probably this would have been a very good 50-minute entry. Price came down for one day, went up for the second day, and then good mitigation went down. So now we are now having a series of break of structure that we have to take note of. The next candle actually didn't break; it wicked this particular liquidity right there. Then it went back up after wicking the liquidity, tapping into this particular order block after breaking the structure. So this structure was being broken. So let's see what happens. And it closed with a doji, giving us another demand zone. Let's see what happens. Then price came back, tapping into that demand zone. And then you can see this rally move to the upside. This would have been a very good um, day for me if I was actually there. Then tap back into this area of demand after breaking the structure. So price then came back. You see, price broke this particular bearish candle, and then we came back to this order block. So let's see whether price gets back to this order block because it has broken this candle as well. Then we might see some positive move to the downside from here. So price is returning to the demand zone that I mentioned earlier on. So price did manage to tap into this particular demand. as a candle is here. So let's just take this whole thing as a big order block. But on the lower time frame, it can be refined the price and started moving to the downside. And now price came back to tap. I think it missed another block that I didn't get to. So it tapped on it. Then we have a clear break of structure from here. Would you like to see price return again? Maybe either it goes back to sweep liquidity before going down, or price just mitigates on this high and push down to probably these areas. Let's see what happens because we don't have a clear break of structure because this is one impulsive move to the downside. Okay, so now we have this. Now we have wicked this particular area as we have impulse correction, then impulse. Okay, we have the expansion, then we have the correction, then the next expansion. So which has actually cleared liquidity, as I said. So now price is creating a nice demand zone after closing bullish. Then let's see what happens. Okay, so price did manage to get back to this area, this particular OB here. So let's see whether. So from here, you did like to see confirmations on the lower time frame as this particular liquidity is now taking our low for the day. For the meantime, on the 4 hour will be this because this has already been wicked. This has been wicked. Then we are waiting for if price did break, we like to see something like this. Then price goes down. So now we have a break of structure. So let's see how price mitigate on this to give us this remove back. Then the next impulsive move. So price didn't mitigate on it. It just came and broke structure as it was already mitigated on the first one. That's all we need to understand. And price just kept rallying to the downside. After actually giving series of lower lows and lower highs, price did manage to break from here, mitigated, then we have this without no return. So let's see how price returns there in the future. The prices find this particular OB. They don't quite get it well because I see this was a OB that broke the structure, and this is how it would have been. So you can see our price moved back very strongly. And then we created, so now we have our low being broken. So let's see how this low, this high, too. So we have one impulse correction and the next impulse. So this becomes our demand area, the next impulse. Because looking for particular to mitigate because we have this one mitigated several times and then now we have more momentum to break structure. That's what I think from here. Okay, so we had a very strong break to the upside. And then now this is the neckline which has been tapped, and this was where I took my trade actually. Took my trade 0.1 lot. Was it 1 lot? My stop loss was just below here, as I didn't want to risk much. I just took it here. My target is still down there. Okay, but the first place I would like to see is here. So this is where I actually started my swing 1 to 2 on the daily time frame. That was actually my place for the swing. So after here, you see price started being bearish, bearish, bearish. Now bearish corrections. Came back and tapped. Actually, it took me out on the 4 hour time frame, but I did wait for price to come down. Then I took another entry here with the same stop loss. Then price just rallied a little bit to the downside, and I was able to close my trade with profit. So you can see now after price wicked, it now came back with this small candle tapping me in another trade after I found another confirmation. Now we're looking to see the downside move down and see how price did after my entry. So price from here actually it started coming down So from here, it's a correction. So I'm waiting for this place to tap, and price hasn't gotten there yet. And that's what I'm looking for. So that was it. So you can see, so now we are still floating around, I guess, 1.75, because I still had the same entry, same place, same number. Because after everything, I checked my thing and I was like, no, this thing has to go down, because price didn't break structure, and it does this to just sweep that liquidity that price was coming down. When you come to the 4 hour time frame, how price was coming down is pretty risky. That it might not go back. So from here you can see how price behaved. So you see price started going down, 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 so creating this whole liquidity. So a lot of people were going to buy, selling, 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 because selling from here it will be a very good way for them. Then all of a sudden it goes back, stops them out, then comes down. So these are the entry I read took again. You can see from here, which I read to from here. My stop loss credit has been small, but I just let me put it back where it was, because this one seemed to be liquidity for me. I was like, price could break through, then come down. The price didn't do that. I was still safe, and I'm still safe as we have. So right now, my motive is next week. I'm looking at this particular entry here and see how price goes back, because this is the next demand zone that I'm looking at. Then this ones, and a whole lot of them are there below. So some are even hidden demand zones here and there. So that is what I'm looking at for this particular week. So thank you guys for looking at for joining me, and I'll see you guys in my next video.